Good morning. Straight up 8 o'clock. I'm on time. How weird is that? Maybe I should start this day over. You know, that might be, maybe God should have installed a start this day over button. Just you put it, repeat, erase this, and start over. Nah, no need for that. It's been a great morning around here. I hope you're having a great morning wherever you are, too. I hope you're having a good week, and I hope you're staying hidden in Him, because that's the whole thing, right? And living in the kingdom. That's an awesome place to be. It's the only place we're going to actually experience His peace, His love, His all of His abundance, right, that He gives us is staying hidden in Him no matter what happens in this earth. We know that in His kingdom, peace still reigns. He's still the Prince of Peace. And that's what keeps us going. So I'm kind of all over the place this morning a little bit, but I've got this scripture that I found this morning. I read a whole lot of different places this morning. I was up early and I read and praying and all that. And so I was reading a lot of different places, but I landed in Psalm 94. I mean, there's just, no matter what book you go to in the Bible, you're going to find His peace. And we can find a promise. We can find that He comforts. We will find no matter what book you. There may be some of those weird little minor prophets that we don't read very much because we don't understand them, and the big prophets like Ezekiel. But even in Ezekiel, you'll find comfort. You find there's joy, there's conflict. We wouldn't appreciate the peace as much if we didn't have the conflict, right? Because sometimes it's that conflict in our lives that gets us off of that center, right? And we become active rather than passive when there's conflict. And think about it. You don't want to read a if you I hope you've never read a book that didn't have any conflict. That's what makes the story interesting, right? And so if we look at conflict, and I'm not talking about arguing and fighting, but things in our life that seems like we're having to fight through, if we look at those things in that manner as it is what is propelling us to seek His peace. The conflict is what propels us to seek His answers, His direction, His wisdom sometimes, right? Because a lot of times if we don't have conflict, we ain't looking for nothing, right? So that conflict sometimes is what really propels us to learn. Think about it. The whole reason we started this, why did we start this devotion? Almost 3 years ago, about 2.5 years ago, we started this devotion because there was conflict, right? All of a sudden, we were thrust into this pandemic and all this information and everybody dying, and we were getting all this news. And I was like, okay, somebody's got to talk about peace because it can't all be trauma, right? And it was scary at first. I laugh at some of the things we did, but we didn't know, right? We tried all we could. It was scary at first, and that's why some of y'all started watching. That's why I started. I was like, okay, somebody's got to have some sort of peace in the middle of all this storm. The whole storm is why we started this devotion. Here we are 2.5 years ago. We're still doing it, and I haven't got any inkling to stop yet. Someday, I'm sure I'm not going to do it till the day I die. I might, you never know, right? But for now, it all started because of that. Jesus came to the cross. He stepped into time because of the conflict that happened in the garden. So conflict is a part of life, and I have no idea how I got off on that. But in the middle of that conflict, the good thing is we can still have peace, right? So I was looking at just all these different scriptures. I was looking at different passages this morning, and I landed in this. I actually landed in the New King James. That's the one I was reading, I believe, this morning. And it says this, Psalm 94:19 says this, in the multitude of my anxieties. Now, we live in an anxious world. Even if you don't think you're an anxious person, there are anxieties out there. And sometimes when you don't feel anxious, you're actually hurting your body because you're holding it in. It's better to get a punching bag and take all that frustration out, or take it in prayer, or do some praise and worship or something to get that tension, yoga, something, get that tension out of your body, because we live in an anxious world. We're doing 900 things at a time, right? We're doing devotions, we're working, we're trying to work from home, we're trying to adjust to post pandemic world with the pandemic still going on. It's kind of weird. We're just living in a weird place, right? We've got the world at our fingertip. Fingertips would be the proper way to say it. Well, we've got stuff vying for our attention 24/7. Literally, if we don't turn our phones off at night, mine goes off at I think 11 till 6. I think. Well, I usually wake up and I go, "You want want to come out of sleep mode because you're awake. And I'm like, yes, of course I do. I'm already up. but we just have stuff vying for our attention, vying for our affection from the time we wake up till the time we go to sleep, and even in our sleep if we're not careful, right? We live in a very anxious, high pressure, maybe is a better word, world, right? But in the multitude of all this anxiety that's going on around us, even if you don't think you're anxious, your comforts, God's comfort, God's peace, delight my soul. Now that's the New King James. So I thought, well, I wonder what the Living Bible says. I may have started in the Living Bible. I wondered what the New King James says. Here's what the Living Bible says in Psalm 94, New Living Translation. Psalm 94:19 says this, and I loved this morning. When doubts filled my mind, instead of, they didn't use the word anxiety, they used the word doubts. When doubts filled my mind, your comfort gave me renewed hope and cheer. I like that. So whether we translate what we're going through as just being a little bit anxious, if we think we're doubting, the fact that you're watching this, you're probably not doubting because you're still seeking. And if you're still seeking, you're probably not doubting. But sometimes we can doubt, is this going to happen? Is God going to come through for me on this? I don't know how to handle this. And then when we doubt, we get anxious, right? And so then I thought, what actually, I pulled out the Amplified, but the Amplified said almost exactly the same thing as the New King James. But the thing was that in the middle of our anxieties, in the middle of our doubts, in the middle of our fears, in the middle of our circumstances, in the middle of the conflict, God doesn't go, I don't know what you're going to do. Let me know how that turns out. No, He instead gives us that peace. Instead, He comforts, soothes, calms our souls. I didn't even look that up in the Strongs. I should have. Maybe I did. I don't think I did though. But he brings that calm to our soul that we're looking for, right? And I think for me, and I'll just say this is just for me. Maybe not anybody else. Maybe nobody else does this. But sometimes when I doubt, or when I do get anxious, or when I am upset, or I do experience fear in some manner, I start thinking that He's going to abandon me. I start thinking that he's going to not be there for me. Isn't that where the fear comes from? That we think He can't give us peace because our problem's too big? Is that maybe right? I don't know. This is a good one. Let me look in the Strongs, and in the King James it says, "In the multitude of my thoughts within me, your comforts delight my soul." But that word thoughts, I love this. This is great. Okay, it says conjutation. I don't even know what that is. Thought. Then it goes a divided in mind. When I go, do I trust God, or for peace, or do I worry? Do I give Him this, or do I just keep it and see how it works out and then see if He can help me later? When I get divided in my thoughts, when I start thinking, can God get me through this? Can He give me peace in this? This is a weird one. I've never faced this before. Is His peace good enough? Yeah, it is. Okay, but so I like that. Divided in mind. I like that. But look at this. It also says, oh wait, I was looking at comfort, right? His comfort delights my soul. Oh, it was opinion. It comes down to opinion. My opinion. When my opinion's all over the place, His comforts delight my soul. His peace, His opinion is what matters. See, when I start feeling like I'm not valuable in the world or to God, I'm just trying to pick some stuff out of the air here, right? His opinion is, I am. When my opinion is that He probably can't handle this situation, His opinion is He can. When my opinion is, oh, this is too big and we're all going to die, His opinion, His thoughts are so much better than mine. And so it's a matter of taking those anxious thoughts, taking those doubts, taking those fears, and giving them to Him and saying, let me trade you this for your peace and comfort. Let me trade. Let's do a trade, God. And He always says, Okay. I'm glad you asked. I'm so glad you finally figured that out, right? Because he's always standing there, girded in strength. That's a verse I found in here, and I think it's in this one. I can't remember if it's 94 or I think maybe it's 93, but it says he. It actually says he's clothed. It's in 93. It says the Lord is clothed, and I'm like, that's a good thing. The Lord is clothed. He has girded himself with strength. He wears strength. He doesn't just look strong. He wears strength. He is strength. He wears peace. And so when we can gather all those crazy thoughts, gather together our doubts, gather together our fears, and go, okay, God, I'm gonna need your peace today. I'm gonna need your comfort today. He goes, okay, that's a perfect trade. Here, give it to me. I'll give you this. I'll give you my peace. I'll give you my comfort. And he does it every time. He never turns us away. He never goes, oh man, I ran out 5 minutes ago. I had it was here, and I'll have to go make some more. No, he just goes, fair trade. I'm glad you finally came. Right? So whatever's bothering you today, whatever's nagging at you, maybe it's not something big, maybe it's something little. Like, I don't know, do I need to stay here in this apartment? They're going to raise the rent again. I start thinking, do I do this, do that, and my thoughts can go all over the place, right? Or I can just go, God, just direct me. I don't know what to do. I'm okay to stay here. I'm okay to move. I don't even care. But here, you direct my steps as I put my heart in your hands. And when we do that, he will meet us there every single time. And we'll be filled with his peace because he reigns in peace. He reigns in glory. He reigns in majesty. He's clothed in strength. He wears strength. You can't put on strength. You can't put on it's like armor or something. I don't know. Anyway, so I pray I said something today that made some sense. Trade him all your anxious thoughts today, and let his peace comfort your soul as you go about this day. Peace out. He's still on the throne. His kingdom ain't changed a bit. Not since yesterday. And it's not going to change a bit today either. Have a great day. Peace out. I'll see you tomorrow.